call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
What up? Welcome back once again to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and add 2 more figures to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now today I decided to go ahead and do 2 figures at once, and this will be the new era dynamic duo of Dick Grayson as Batman, and of course my favorite little jerk, Damian Wayne. Now one of these figures being from your standard DC Multiverse, and the other one being from the DC Direct Page Punchers. Now of course this is all based upon the Grant Morrison era of Batman and Robin. Now, although I'm not really that versed into that storyline, I was a fan always of Damian Wayne. Not so much of Dick Grayson as Batman, but I will accept him as an heir apparent to the cowl. Now, they do both look pretty dynamic in the packaging, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at them. Well, first, they do both come with your standard black DC Multiverse stand. Now, of course, these are not really needed, but sometimes they do come useful. They also each come with a data file card. Now, interestingly enough, both images on the cards do come from that pretty iconic cover of Batman and Robin. This one being Dick Grayson as Batman. Let's go ahead and bring him out. Now on the back you do have some information, so we'll hold on to this one. And you also have Damian Wayne gets his own data file card. Let's go ahead and bring him out as well. So we'll hold on to these and add them to the collection. Now the accessories aren't exactly perfect, but we do get an assortment of accessories. The Dick Grayson Batman only comes with an assortment of hands. I took the liberty of adding your standard fists. These are taken from the black version of Nightfall Batman, and they do fit easily and perfectly onto this Dick Grayson as Batman, and that is if you do want alternate fist for him, you will need to do this. Let's go through the array of hands that he does come with, and that is 2 gripping hands. These are good for gripping onto batarangs and grapnel guns. He also comes with these 2 splayed hands, which they did come with the Nightfall version of Batman from the Bane 2-pack, but I really do enjoy these emoting hands that give the figures a lot more variety when you're doing figure photography and displaying the figures. Really do appreciate those gesturing hands. And finally, he does come with these brand new Bat Knuckle Duster fists. Now these do have a tint of light blue on them. Not so sure if they are accurate to the comics, but these do look very interesting. Usually you see Batman fighting Superman using something like this, but kryptonite infused. One thing I am happy about is they do break up the monotony of all the hands we've gotten. Always exciting to see some new hands. So just to reiterate, he only comes with 3 pairs of hands. If you want alternate plain fists, you can easily get them from the black version of Nightfall Batman, and they snap right in. Now sadly, Damian Wayne doesn't come with any alternate hands, but he does come with your standard katana for Damian Wayne. There are different versions of swords that we could use. I have many types of katanas that I use with my Damian Wayne. So although not too exciting to get the same blade, there's always a handful of blades around that you can use with Damian. And he also gets a broken up Professor Pyg mask. Now I'm not so sure why they made this in 2 pieces. One thing I am optimistic about, and that is that if they do have the mold to be able to mold this together in one piece, we may be looking at a future Psycho Pig release. So we'll hold on to that. I do have plans for that we'll check out towards the end of the review. Now, this is definitely going to be real quick because not too much to talk about on the articulation. It's going to be pretty redundant if I go over the articulation for Dick Grayson as Batman, taking a closer look at him. They did basically capture Dick Grayson as Batman. Now, we recently had the Batman battle where my favorite Batman, Hush Batman, came out on top. And one of the big reasons of this for me is that I prefer a bulkier tank style of Batman. Also, that Hush Batman's height is just unrivaled. And when you get into Nightfall Batman, he's a little bit shrimpy for my taste and a little bit thinner. Now, while both figures are great, Nightfall Batman is your more athletic, leaner Batman. You just cannot get over the fact that Hush Batman is a far superior figure, especially looks-wise on the shelf. You just can't beat it. It is an awesome figure. So it was not a far stretch when they decided to use the Nightfall body for this Dick Grayson as Batman. I am really pleased with this. Taking a look at the head sculpt, they really captured the image of Dick Grayson as Batman. If you compare it to the comic book cover, it is pretty much spot on. And even going down into the costume, the emblem and the belt perfectly manifest the character in action figure form. Now, you do get great articulation with this Nightfall Batman. Nothing to laugh at. It is a very highly articulated Batman, with the bonus being that you do get this wired, articulated cape. Very fun, very great for taking pics. So I'm not surprised that this is going to end up being a lot of people's favorite Batman. Although it is not Bruce Wayne, it is Dick Grayson taking up the mantle. Now let's take a closer look at Damian Wayne. So if you don't follow me, you don't know, I am a huge Damian Wayne fan. I remember one of the, saddest things I ever saw was when they killed him. I think he was killed by a character named Heretic, which was really a clone of Damian, but all grown up. And we do know that in the future, whatever that may hold, Damian Wayne will eventually be a gritty, really dark Batman, especially thinking about his upbringing and how long he's been in training, both as an assassin and as a crime fighter. So I will never turn away a good rendition of Damian Wayne. And this one, once again, pretty much jumps off the pages of the comics, although it is a reuse of the New Frontier legs with a different upper torso. I just really love this sleeker, more streamlined version of Damian Wayne. You don't have so much of that wavy hair from the original release. Also missing is that standard Damian Wayne smirk, which is why he's a little jerk to me. And there's nothing wrong with that. You sometimes have to have a little bit of an attitude problem in this world. But I am really digging this version of Damian Wayne. Taking a look at the head sculpt, as I said, just an alternate version of Damian. He does have great articulation, looking down, looking up, right to left, and of course tilt for some attitude, which is really part of Damian's character. Now the hard portion of the midsection here is really designed in the same vein as the other Robins that we received before. You could still articulate him, twist him, get him in cool poses. Has a slight forward crunch, but of course it's one solid piece, so you're not going to get much. but you do have double jointed knees, double jointed elbows, which really add to the articulation. Now on the hands, one easy thing you can do is dip into your previously purchased figures. I, for one, have tons of little Robin hands, so you can mod these or pop them onto this Damian Wayne and just give him a little bit more flair, a little bit more attitude when you're doing figure photography. But really updated costume for Damian Wayne. And once again with this figure, you do get a very malleable, articulated wired cape, which is awesome. And you also get a wired hood. Now this is easily manipulated and put above his head. It has great range and you can put it in different shapes around his head. Something I've really been surprised about the newer McFarlane figures is how much I really enjoy these wired capes and hoods. Really add something to these McFarlane figures and take them up to that next level. So all in all, really great releases here to add to your collection. As I said, you can add tons of different swords to your Damian Wayne just to give them a little bit of spice and put them on your shelf. Now these two guys look great together, very fun in doing figure photography, and maybe even if you want to make a display specifically for the Batman and Robin comic run. Now there was a couple of things I had fun with. Of course, the Damian Wayne really made me bring out my favorite ultimate Damian Wayne that I made using different parts from the original release and the Vampire Damian Wayne. And I made this great version of Damian that's really been my favorite go-to figure. But now with this one, we do have some competition. This is also a great figure. And you can swap the heads and get different looks, which I was pretty pleased by the alternate looks you can get from them. And once you put them together, they are the new dynamic duo. Of course, you gotta bring in Hush Batman, where you can see how he towers, not only in presence, but in power over these two figures, both being two of his sidekicks. One that has grown into his own hero, and one being his actual son that he has molded into a great detective and crime fighter, although be it with a slight darker edge. Now let's get into the Professor Pyg mask. Now, I knew I was going to do this. I just had to figure it out, but you can glue the two pieces together and get a pretty good Professor Pyg mask, even though it has a crack in it. Add an eye to one side that doesn't have one, and find a figure to stand in as Professor Pyg. Now, hopefully, as I said, this does mean we will be getting a serial killer pig figure in the future. This is right up McFarlane's alley with the more darker, gruesome things that he likes to do. So I'll really look forward to that. But for now, I'm very happy to add these two to my collection. But anyways, you guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.